right, I'm going to get the public information session for the South Ferry rate increase. We'll open the meeting, and welcome to everybody in person and on Zoom. And I'd like to, we have up at the table, we have Britton Clark from South Ferry who will present the request for rate increase. We have the Ferry Study Group, our two members, Art Williams and Elizabeth Galley, myself and Albert Dixon as liaisons to the committee, and we have legislator Catherine Stark, who represents our district. So Catherine, I'm going to let you just talk a little bit about the process.
Sure. So the ferry companies submitted their applications for the rate increase to BRO, which is our budget review office in the legislature. They review the application and then put out a recommendation. Both those studies for both the South and the North Ferry, and we're here to talk about the South Ferry, but they're available online. If you go to the legislature's website and you go to documents and then budget, Office of Budget Review, it's available online for anybody to review. So this week was committee weeks. Both those resolutions are in Public Works, so I'm Vice Chair of Public Works. We discharge without recommendation both resolutions for the ferry increase, and that's because there is a public hearing to be held on May 6th at our next general meeting, which is next Tuesday. It's an evening meeting, which starts at 4. The public hearings start at 6 p.m. Once those public hearings are closed, we let them rest for an hour, and then we can move forward and take action on the resolutions. If we had tabled them, we'd have to wait a whole nother month until June to adopt them. So it's a common practice to discharge without recommendation for a variety of reasons, but this was specifically for the public hearing. When the public hearing is closed, the clerk notes the time, and 1 hour later, we can take action on it. That's our process.
Thank you. I'm now going to turn it over to Britton so that you can present what your request is. Summarize it for the public.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. First up, my name is Britton Clark. I work for South Ferry. I'm the Director of Operations. I represent the sixth generation of Clarks to run South Ferry. Cliff Clark is, of course, part of the sixth generation. Our daughter, Amelia, is getting her captain's license now. She's part of the seventh generation, along with Cayman Moorhead, who's Cliff's grandson. So family business. And it's time for us to get a rate increase. It's been 6 years since our last increase. 2019 was the last time we had a rate increase go into effect. All right, talking points. Got lots. Let me start by talking about first what we did with the last rate increase. We did a lot of capital improvements, a lot of infrastructure building. We spent $5.2 million on capital improvements. So we built a barn, we put solar power on that barn, we paid down our fleet mortgage. So we've got one new boat that we built, the Southern Cross, and we're paying that off ahead of time. The new maintenance dock, which is the main dock at the East Landing, if anybody knows, it's the big one where we park our boats and they spend the night. Electronic pursing system, $500,000, almost, a little less, but we're going to catch up with North Ferry at some point. We've got a new electronic system coming, the boop boop. We're going to scan your cards, much more efficient, and yeah, that's that. Affordable housing. We talked a lot about this. I believe over the next 50 years, our biggest problem for South Ferry will be where do we house our employees? Okay. Without putting too much time into that, we've been building and we've been buying. We've rebuilt a house that's already on the South Ferry property. We've got crew living in there. We've purchased and are continuing to purchase other properties that over the next few decades will be moving people in, maybe doing different types of shifts. People come in from up island, work here for 4 or 5 days in a row, and they're off for 4 or 5 days in a row. There's lots of options we can do, but we're looking into that and we're spending money on it. So to do extended platforms. Okay, you guys know we have 2 slips leaving Shelter Island. We have 2 slips on North Haven. We got higher tides lately and we got lower tides lately. And we're adjusting all 4 ramps to mitigate that. So we can deal with floods and we can deal with really low tides We can deal with hurricanes. So we're extending the ramp. So if you don't know, one ramp is really good for high tide and one ramp is really good for low tide. And we're extending both of them for about $500,000 each. So it's an expensive project. We're halfway done. We've done the west slips on both sides. We'll be doing the next ones later this year, maybe moving into next year. New tractor, utility vehicles. We bought all sorts of stuff for maintenance. Okay, we also hired a bunch. Spent a lot of money on crew. It's not a small thing. And then the proposed projects, what we're gonna be doing with the money we get from this rate relief. We got a lot of plans. More housing. We want to rebuild the Captain Bill Clark. We've got 5 boats in our fleet. The oldest one is the Captain Bill Clark, formerly the South Ferry 2. It's the small one that doesn't look like the other boats. And someday we hope to split it in half, extend it out, make it about 103 feet long, rebuild the tower. It's going to look just like the other boats, and see if we can preserve that hull for both monetary and sentimental reasons. So that's a big project we got coming up. Extend both east platforms, rebuild the approaches, replace the building and grounds facility. We're going to rebuild the crew house. It's just the main house that looks like a home that's right there when you come across the ferry under the shelter island side. We're going to get that rebuilt, hopefully at the end of the summer. Let's expand the office building. Oh, and replace the building and grounds facility. That's next to the barn. It's the shop that's right there off the road, off of 114. As you enter our maintenance area there, there's still a little shop there. It's kind of rotted out, been eaten by rats and such, and it needs to get completely replaced. So I don't know when we're doing that. Probably next year. So what are we asking for? We're going to raise our fares. Where do we start? Cash fares. Okay, if you're just a person coming over, you're going over to Sunset Beach, you're going to go one way and spend the night here, it's $15. It's going to be $18. That's our plan. So $3 out of that. Round trip, same day round trips for just a casual coming over, spending the day at the beach and leaving, that's going to be $25. We do $2 right now for one-way passenger, $3 for a round trip. It's going to be $2 each way. Looking at all our stuff. Okay, we've got a big change coming.
Sorry, repeat that again? Just repeat the passenger change?
Okay, so $2 one way, $3 round trip is how we are. And what we want is $2 each way for passengers. Residents still do not pay for passengers. So, where was I? Non-resident commuters. This is a big one. Okay, 5-day for commuters, $27. It's going to be $45. Seems like a big jump. It's a big jump to someplace reasonable. Okay, it's a ticket that we lose money on. If you've got 5 round trips, $25. That is a massive discount off the just buying the regular fares. 6 days from 33 to 54, same thing. It's a big discount. It looks like a big jump, but it's going to someplace reasonable. We're not constantly losing money on the commuter tickets. We've got another change coming where we've got 2 tiers of resident tickets coming. So resident ticket number 1 is the one we all know and love. It's the biggest, bestest discount, and it is for anybody that has Shelter Island address on their New York State driver's license. Full stop. That's all we need. You go to the DMV, get Shelter Island on your license. That's all I need to know. And you're going to get the resident discount. And then we have a second tier. This is brand new.
Let them know what it is, the change in that price, please.
Oh, it's $27 now, and it's going to be $30 for a 5-day commuter ticket for resident. So it's a $3 increase in a 5-day. Same thing for the 6-day. I'm looking at 30 to 33.
33 to 36.
Okay.
And that represents 10% to 11% increase over the 6 years. That's the tier 1. The passengers are all free.
Okay. I was just looking at it, looks so low. So, all right. And then we have a 10 round trip, which is a little bit different. The tier 2 is going to be 65. Okay, tier 2 is for people that have a house on Shelter Island. You own property, but it's in a trust or an LLC. Now, formerly, we weren't letting these folks get any sort of discount other than the 10 round trips for non-residents on the boat. And we've had a lot of fights about this. This is all about keeping the peace. And this is giving something to people that want to keep their Florida driver's license, their California driver's license, Connecticut driver's license. And they're just like, I'm not going to the DMV, I'm not doing that. I want to be Connecticut resident, kids going to school, whatever. You still get this extra discount. So it's in the middle between a non-resident and someone that has it on their driver's license. And so for them, yeah, $54 for a 6-day, $45 for a 5-day. And then there's the 10 round trip. So it's going for the shelter on residents, tier 1, from $65 right now to $72. Okay. So $7 jump there, 10%. One of the changes we're making here is we used to just allow a one-way from the North Haven side. We're now going to allow round trips from both sides, just for simplicity's sake.
Okay.
Mhm.
But are we getting rid of this books anyway, or once you do?
10 round trip
electronic?
books?
Once you
Okay,
go electronic, you're getting rid of all of the past.
technically you won't have a book anymore. It's going to we call them a captain's pass. It's like a card. It looks like a credit card. You're going to scan it. So you buy the first one for $72, there's $10, but then it'll be like Smart Pass. You can add any amount of money to that.
Right, but so like all of these little multi-trip things are gonna go away, right?
In a sense, but the price will remain. So it won't be a 10 round trip anymore. It'll be, oh, give me a moment. Yeah, it's,
No, I know that question. I think I hear what she's saying. You'll get a card,
Uh-huh,
and the card will be able to be recharged yourself
right,
on Sunday afternoon or whatever. And it'll be a card that if you go, when you leave Shelter Island, either direction, it'll deduct what would have been a one-way fare.
right.
And if you decide to go back through Greenport, that's it. And if you come back before 2 o'clock the next morning, it'll deduct a couple of bucks difference to make it a round trip.
so $6.50 for a one way. And then if you come back, they deduct a dollar.
Yes, I understand that, but then like the commuter, will you still be issuing commuter passes?
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
so that will still be a
Yeah, but
card?
they'll have a little scan code on there so we can do it with the machine.
So like, okay, so on Monday morning, I buy my
Yeah.
commuter ticket,
Yeah.
right? Because I have a job over in Sag Harbor.
Yes.
I'm getting an actual card. I'm not using my actual ferry pass.
Correct, 2 separate cards.
Right.
It's going to be generated by the automated cash, the printer, and it'll print it out on Monday, and it voids out at 2 o'clock the following Sunday,
Okay.
well, following Monday morning.
So you still essentially will be getting a card for the
Yes, but
week.
instead of clicking it, they'll just, like North Ferry does. Bridge, one of the most smartest people on the planet, he developed this great system, and we're not copying it per se, but trying to, like, which he said, try to get caught up.
Okay,
And so it'll be a little different, but I have some similarities.
okay.
Imitation is the finest form of flattery. Thank you, Bridge. Other than going through all the prices one by one, unless somebody has any questions, I don't know what else to.
I will start with anyone in the physical audience that has a question or comment. If there's no questions in the physical audience, do you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, can you come up to the podium, please?
You'll be able to hear me, no problem, huh? You want me to go up there?
Yes, please.
Okay.
That way you're
Um,
on camera.
Just
And
the last,
your name for the record.
Dick Baker. And you would ask, so Monday morning, I'm going off and getting a 5-day pass. You're gonna deduct it off my debit card and print out a ticket, is that correct?
It'll still be the same way.
Are you asking?
That's where you're headed, though, is that fair?
We're headed, but to start out,
Oh, okay.
we'll give a check or
Okay.
cash.
So are you asking if we're going to use credit cards on the boat?
Once the cards are in effect, we get our cards, whether it's 2 months from now or 6 months, whatever it is, will the way you pay for a 5-day or 6-day commuter ticket on Monday, you're going off, you're going to pay with your debit card?
No, not yet. We're getting there with the credit cards. Well, I guess the captain's card thing, which is what
Yes.
Sound calls them. I don't know if we're going to call them that, but it looks like a credit card. It's like a
No, I
card.
understand.
I know, we understand, we use
Yeah,
them, we use them.
For now, you go online and you'll go to our website and be able to add money there.
Yes, but how are you
Yeah.
paying for the commuter
I'm in
ticket?
my car,
Oh, just say, well,
person comes there,
cash
I want a 5-day.
Yes, cash your check is what we do now, and that's what we'll.
Right, but once you have these the captain's card, whatever you want to call it, will you be using that
Two
for the
different
payment?
cards. No, you're conflating two cards. One is for the resident discount ticket for the Shelburne residence driver's license. That's the card that we're going to be using, and that's the one that you can recharge yourself anytime you want. You come in and pay $72 the first time you purchase it and verify your residency.
Okay,
And then that's your card, and you keep it, and 5 years from now, it can still be working.
okay,
And you can recharge that with your credit card or whatever card is set up for that.
okay,
But for the commuter ticket, it's going to be generated as a paper card, look hardware card, generated out of the crew member's printer. And that will be good just for that week.
yeah, no, I understand,
Okay, so two different transport cards.
okay.
Okay.
And I have one other question, as long as I'm up here, I guess. One way, the current tickets we get, which are I go in and get a little pink ticket, it's $65 for 10 round trips. The ticket before that we used was an orange ticket. And that orange ticket
Orange one-way ticket.
was 20 punches, okay? And it cost $65. Now, so what happened when we went from orange to pink was that there's no more one-way ticket. If I go into the office and say I want to buy one-way ticket, resident tickets, there's no such thing as a one-way ticket. You have to use a round-trip ticket. So at some point, you have here resident auto tickets. A one-way is currently $650, and it's going to stay $650.
So I see the confusion here.
But my point is that at some point,
Yeah.
the 325 ticket went to $650, it doubled.
You said 325 ticket.
You bought 20 punches
So the
for
21-way.
$65, and it didn't matter which way you were going, you were there a one-way ticket. In other words, if I went and visited my daughter up Yowen and came back the next day, then I used 2 punches with that orange ticket for each. First punch I went off, second punch I came back. Now I have to use 2 round-trip tickets. So now that trip, instead of costing me $650, costs me.
I got you. Okay, so us getting rid of the orange ticket is a whole separate topic that I can
That
discuss
wasn't
with
a
you.
rate increase, was
But
it?
it was,
Okay, but here's the thing, is that now when you go off, you technically do have the ticket. So when you get a 10 round trip and you go off, we're only charging you the one-way price of $650. We're not charging for that round trip. When you come back, let's say you come back the next day, you get charged $650 again.
Right.
If you come back the same day, it's only.
I understand, but when you had the orange ticket,
Yes.
okay, it was $325 going off,
Let me
$325 coming, it didn't matter if it was the same day or a week
give you
later.
history on this.
Okay.
If you could just raise the volume a little bit, just so the people
Oh,
on
I'm
Zoom
sorry.
can hear.
May I take that? Well, I think I know where it's going. May I take that?
Yes.
Rick? We were authorized in 2019 a 10 round trip ticket book, and there was no one. And we, on our own, we said, okay, we can't change the price, we changed the policy. So we split that 10 round trip up into 21 ways, thinking, let's just give something back to pull something extra. And it got horribly abused to the point where we were getting killed on this 325 that you're talking about. It was intended to be a round trip, that was in the code, the law from the state county. And 2 years ago, we had to change it because it costs about a little over $9 one way for one vehicle. So these tickets we're talking about, even if they were double, they would still be way below one-way vehicles. That's the ticket you're talking about. And we made a policy to put it in, which we can change how the ticket's used without legislature. We can't change the price. We kept a 20, we made a 10 one-way, 10 round trip into 21 ways as just a thing we did it to help out, and it beat us up terribly.
but you were approved for the 10 round
trip.
trips.
That was in the law.
The county
2019.
approved it, they just changed the way they were gonna do it.
So we were trying to be nice, and it was nice, but it was beating us up because that ticket that should have been going $650 each time it was used, it was just being used all over the place. It was being handed out to friends, and it just, so we had to go back to the original idea, the original law, 2019, which was a round trip.
And one last question then, or in terms of a resident round trip ticket or 5-day commuter ticket, whatever, are there any plans to have, does it, in North Ferry, you have to pay for your extra passengers?
Right now, residents that don't pay for passengers.
Right, and there's no
Yeah,
plan in the future for that, or that's not taking part, because it didn't say includes I didn't know if there was any
It
change.
doesn't say that.
Yeah.
It includes passengers.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Anyone else in the physical audience? Anyone on Zoom? So if we don't have any other questions, I'll just double check and make sure no one at the table has questions.
And just one last thing I was thinking about. So once the legislation is adopted, the county executive has 15 days to sign it. So I've asked the county exec's intergovernmental person to pull both ferries so he can sign it.
Awesome.
Once the clerk gets it over, that usually takes about a day. So then sign it, and we can get both ferries certified copies of those sent to you.
All right.
I would just say, you're right, on about passion, we will ask to have that included in this package. As far as the not charging for passengers.
Yes, I think it should be.
I think I agree, because if it were unscrupulous, which I hope we're not, then we could make a policy change and, oh, by the way, it's in there.
Right.
So that was an oversight, should have been there. And I'll talk to BRO and you, as far as what we can do to make that amendment so it's in the law. And it's just a matter of in the notes. And I look back at the notes just now thinking it was in there. And there are notes to go with it.
Yeah, I'll double check it. I thought it was, I mean, every calculation we've made in terms of what we need to make and what we're losing, what we're getting, what we're trying to do, all of it's been calculated with residents don't pay for passengers. So that's never been.
And our
Yeah.
really important position is that we feel like it's very important that the people, whether it be a single parent or be people that just live by paycheck to paycheck, that those rates be just viciously protected and not going up. And we've done that here. We've done that. We've always done that. We've done that again. And I say vicious, that's a bad word. I didn't mean it. But just aggressively protected, because those are the people that really need it. And our island culture is changing, and it's getting harder and harder for those people to make it. The ones who just have to go off the island to the doctor for just maybe save a couple of bucks over at some shopping center or something of that nature. So we have no intention of changing that free passage for those people.
I don't have the actual legislative approval, but I believe there was a note in there that said something about the commuter ticket being removed. So can we just double check to make sure that that's not in there?
In this report.
Yeah.
Can I take it
Removed?
Yes, once you go automated.
Oh, there's a note.
No.
Yeah, I didn't read far enough down. I read about the one at the top about the residents. The very bottom, Mary, and thank you, but you're probably the same place.
The 10-trip card to be phased out and replaced by.
No. Shelter Island residents must use a prepaid residence pass card on the resident commuter ticket to avoid being charged for passage.
Okay.
And we knew it was in there, but it's separated.
Yeah.
The number one topic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
I guess the point being that if you show up and you don't have a resident pass and you don't have the captain's card and you don't have anything, the deckhands will, they're going to charge you for non-resident and passengers. There's no way for them to verify that on the deck of the boat. So people can just show up and be like, oh, I'm a resident.
Oh, right.
I want the bonus price. You have to go to the office and get verified through there, but that would explain the note. You're going to have one of those things from the office.
Okay.
Pam, can you come up? Yeah.
Okay.
Answer the question.
There.
We couldn't hear it up here.
I think the question was, if you're a resident, you walk on the boat,
Yes, that was my question. If you're a resident and you're just going across as a passenger, no vehicle walking across, is there still a fee to pay? Or are you
Charging
free
them
as that
now,
goes?
yeah, yes, yeah, that's different, I guess. Yeah, it's $2, and then I think we're actually getting rid of the resident passenger book. We sold, I can tell you exactly, that we sold like 18
You know, so they,
books in the past. Yeah, so just the price of printing them was worth it, so. But I digress.
That's okay. All right. There's no other questions or comments. We will close this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
thanks.
Thank you.
thank you, everybody.
Very much.
Yeah.